ICON is an Exceptional Achievement Award, and we have 5 of our agents on the stage today to share the wealth and the knowledge. We have Darren Mancuso from Ohio. How you doing, Darren?
I'm doing great.
We're going to check some mics right now, so just with us in the meantime.
Sure.
Hey, Darren.
Sure.
Awesome. Hey, Stacy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I have to give a shout out for Darren. OH.
Thank you. Same to you.
Awesome. Hey, Trisha, how are you?
I'm beautiful.
I love it. Vinod, how are you doing?
Doing awesome, man. This is Vinod from Toronto, Canada, Ontario.
That's great.
Nice.
Awesome. Yes. Lori, how are you?
Good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. Right, everybody? Great. Great to be here.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Today our moderator is Darren Mancuso. So Darren, if you want to take it away, and if at any time anyone in this auditorium is having any voice issues, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, there are 3 gear wheels, cog wheels. Click that, click reinitialize voice, and you should be set. I'll be here for the next hour. Reach out to me if you need anything at all. Put your questions in the chat box, audience. If you have any questions, raise your hand. Someone might call on you. And if you are watching this on YouTube, click that like button. All right, Darren, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. As Brian was saying, I'm Darren Mancuso. I'm an ICON agent here in Cleveland, Ohio. I've been in real estate since 2014, and I was at Remax for my entire career and just joined EXP last January. That's kind of just a basic overview about myself, and I thought I'd give everybody else a chance on the panel here to do kind of the same thing. Just give us a brief introduction, tell us a little bit about your career, where you started, and how long you've been at EXP for. Why don't we start with Stacy?
Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I've been in real estate since 1997. I like to say I started my career in the 1900s. I've been with EXP since 2018, 4.5 years, and just hit my 5th ICON. I am a solo agent here in Columbus, Ohio. I've done 18 million in the last 12 months. So a little bit about me.
Amazing. Thank you, Stacy. Trisha, give us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Trisha Kennedy. I've been in real estate for like 2 years plus, and I started with EXP. My first year with EXP has been amazing. My first full year, I iconed. So I'm excited to be a part of this growing organization and to contribute today.
Awesome.
I'm from Ontario, Canada.
Thank you so much for sharing, Trisha. Vinod, give us a little intro about yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much. First of all, I'm too excited to be on this panel today. And my name is Vinod, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And this is my 12th year in the business and 3rd year with EXP. And in my first 2 years, I have been 2 times ICON. And I have 66 agents in my small organization, and we are serving throughout Ontario.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Let's see. Last but not least, Lori, give us a little bit about yourself.
Hey there. I'm licensed in West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. Joined EXP in 2018. I used to be the broker in West Virginia. We were the last state to open at EXP Realty. And we started with 1 agent, and over the amount of time that I was the broker, I grew the state to about 130 agents, which is pretty big in West Virginia. We only have about 3,000 real estate agents in the entire state. So we are one of the biggest brokerages in West Virginia. And about 12 months ago, I decided I didn't want to boss people around anymore. And so I'm back to listing and selling, which is my first love. 4-time icon, getting ready to icon here in a few months, actually maybe in a few weeks, hopefully. And happy to share anything that anybody may feel valuable. That's for sure. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get started with some of the first questions. I know this is one of the biggest things is that 2021 was the best real estate year that we've ever had in the history of real estate. And so if you've been licensed, if you were licensed in 2021, you know what I'm talking about. And things are a little bit different right now. A lot of things have been changing. And that seems to be the buzz right now is what are people doing differently this year than they did last year to improve their numbers? So I really just want to spend a little bit of time on that because I know everyone's really interested in how are you maintaining or exceeding, because nobody really wants to just maintain or definitely not fall below what you did last year. Everybody's trying to do better, get better. So that's my first question to the panel. Let's start with Stacy and just get your insight as to what things that you guys are doing or you're doing differently this year than you did last year.
We actually are up this year. We like to track our numbers, but I really contributed to just going back to the basics. I myself, like I said, still being in production, we have one of the things that we do is we have 150 some people in our downline. So sometimes the leader becomes the learner, if that makes sense, with going back to the basics. Everything that I've been preaching to them for the last couple of years, I started doing again. Farming, I'm going back to KB Core, every lead gen system that's out there that's available to us, especially at EXP, our Op City and stuff like that. We are turning every stone over, working every deal, going back to our sphere, and just literally going back to the basics that makes real estate real estate.
Yeah. I love what you said that as a leader, you have to be the learner.
Oh, absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. And what I'd like to kind of add to that a little bit is that we all have to remember that we're in business for ourselves. So if you don't have a team and you're the leader of yourself, you have to be the leader and you have to be the learner. So you have to be continually learning, especially if you're not busy. You have to take downtime to sharpen the pencil. And then also if you are the leader of an organization or leader of a team, then you absolutely have to be the learner and be in front and be constantly trying to be the one that's going to introduce new ideas to your organization. So awesome. Thanks so much, Stacy. Trisha, give us an idea of some of the things that you're doing differently this year than you were the years before.
Yeah, so I feel I'm still new and learning from everybody. Being my second year, going to the third year, uh, I have actually added additional lead generation strategies. When I started, I was more doing my referral database, and I set up I would say my champions, where I would reach out to them and also engage them to assist with my lead generation. So that's where I was getting my clients. Last year, I believe during EXPCon, I learned a few other strategies where I now actually explore the option of hosting events to kind of generate more leads, active leads. I also utilize some social media, though it's still work in progress, but I've expanded my lead generation pillar from just 1 to 4. My goal for this year was I would move from my 34 transactions to 60 transactions. And I think I am on track to be able to do that with these additional lead generation strategies, which is hosting events. My referral database is constant, doing more of a social media presence, as well as utilizing my vendor partners.
That's some good stuff. You said quite a few things in there that resonated also. Not just having one lead source is definitely something that I've heard, even Brent Gove, a lot of people from stage at Build and shareholders and EXPCon, they all say you can't just have one source of leads. So that's super important. Well, thanks for sharing. I'd like to come back to you and talk about, since you are kind of newer to real estate, maybe what you did since you were able to icon so early in your career, maybe some things that helped you jumpstart your career and what was one of the key things that maybe helped you get to that level. So, but I'll come back to you. I'd like to get through the rest of the group here with what they're doing different this year. So, Vinod, give us an update on what you're doing this year that you weren't doing last year to help with the situations.
Sure, definitely. First of all, great stuff, Trisha. I mean, that was amazing. I mean, in your second or third year, as Darren mentioned, that you achieved this level of being an ICON agent. Congratulations to you. Yeah. So, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. All right. So I always say one thing that which we were talking about earlier, that an arrow can only be shot by pulling it backwards, right? So now this is the year, this is the time. Then I'm back to the basics as well. As I mentioned, that this is my 12th year in the business. Back to basics. First thing first is that we should not forget our past clients. For me, a lot of business, a lot of references are coming from our past clients. So which we were not doing last year, but now we make sure that I'm calling my past clients, at least 5 of them on a daily basis. And that is getting us good business. And second thing is I'm a big validator for social media. Earlier we were doing, let's say, on a weekly basis, 2 or 3 posts. So now we have to double down, or I would say triple down on that one. That if let's say we were doing 2 posts, so now we are trying to make it 6. So if we were doing 10, we are trying to do it 20. So I mean, for me, sphere of influence, social media, and then third thing, which Trisha also mentioned, that hosting sort of smaller events that helps us and keeps us going in this year of 2023.
Darren, I don't know if we lost you or not. I hope y'all can hear me. Can you hear me?
It helps so much more when you have your mic turned on. I'm so sorry.
User error.
Yep, sorry.
That's okay.
I was just clapping for Vinod, and I love the idea of calling past clients. How are you winning at that? What do you call and say? I mean, I know there's people out in the audience who are like, yeah, that's a great idea, but what the heck am I going to say to these people? What do I say, and how do I not sound silly? Because I know that's what everybody thinks when they go to pick up the phone. So do you have any advice as to how to start the conversation, and then how to get to somewhere where you can actually turn that into potential business?
That's a great question. So I don't have any specific scripts. So now I have a great rapport with them. And anyways, I'm a person, I would like to add here that we organize an event at the end of the year where we try to gather all of our past clients near the time of Christmas. So at that time, everybody gets an invitation, and that's a fun night for the whole family. And then we have some vendors, and we share the cost, and we call them there at that event. that one event, right? So now what we are doing this year, that as I mentioned, that I try to call 5 persons every day. So it's a normal call that we know their family members. We just try to talk like how the things going, how's your new house, or like whatever you know about your family. Like, did you get married? How's your wife doing? And yeah, just touch a little basic, that it should not sound like that you're just calling for having another business. And then while talking, most of the times I have seen people we served 4 or 5 years back, right? So they are at a verge of anyways making a move, maybe to a bigger or a smaller house. So they say, oh yeah, it's a very good time. I mean, you called because the market is changed. We are planning to do this in next 6 months, 3 months, or a year or whatever, right? So
Right.
I mean, just try to not sound like you're calling them for the business,
Right.
and then just talk to them about their personal things, or I believe for their well-being. And there you can initiate the talk, and it always goes in a very good way. And they know you have served them, so I believe that's an amazing thing, which I would say all the agents who has some of the past clients, so that we normally I was overlooking for last couple of years, but this year we have started, and it is working great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Lori, what are you doing different this
Yeah.
year?
So I'm echoing what everyone else is saying, going back to the basics, and doing more community effort. And we also have an event once a year for past clients, and we do it. We're getting ready to do it here in a few weeks. We do it in August, before it's like a back to school last hoorah before anyone has to get back to school, or anything that they normally have to do, come August, September. We used to do it at Christmas, and for us, it just seemed to interfere with, people traveling and other commitments. So we switched it to August. This is our first year to switch it to August. So we do the same thing. We invite everyone, and we have, cookout and games and entertainment, somebody to sing and all that. So it's a lot of fun. But one thing that I've been doing is, as well, is going back to past clients. But what I'm doing is for I'm calling them or sending them a video text and saying, hey, have you noticed what the estimate is on your home? And I have a different opinion. And so let's talk about what your home value is, in addition to just the phone calls of, hey, how you doing? My past clients also get a consistent something in the mail from me. I use Reminder Media magazine. It goes out once a quarter, and sending out postcards and things like that. So I don't just have one that hits them. It's more than one thing. So they get the magazine once a quarter, and then they also get once a month a postcard from me. So I'm always in their mailbox. I also have a newsletter that I use through MailChimp, and that way, people that don't particularly want something through the mail, I'm going to try to get them through their email. I am at the moment, though, looking through. I don't know if anyone here has used it before, but supposedly KV Core has a newsletter system. I've been using MailChimp because I love it. I can create the template, doesn't cost me anything. However, MailChimp tends to go to spam and junk if you're not real careful. So, but that's what I do. I mean, and when you're busy and you don't have time on your hands, things like this tend to go by the wayside just a bit.
Right.
They just do. And because we're real estate agents, right? We take care of what's in front of us at the moment. So it's kind of nice to be able to go back to do these things, because I love doing that. But yeah, social media as well. I mean, anything that to get your face out there.
Right. Man, you said so many good things, Lori. The one thing that pops in my head is that real estate is a contact sport. You know, we have to be contacting people who we've done business with, find out if they have anybody that we can help, and we also have to be touching people that we've never met before to let them know that we're in the real estate business.
Right. Well, one of the things that I've done as well that I forgot to mention was when there's a property that goes on the market, we look at that hot sheet every day. I send something to the neighbors because statistically, there's going to be another property in that neighborhood to go on the market.
Got it. So a property pops up on the market on your hot sheet in the MLS, and you're sending what to the neighbors? You're sending
So
them
I'm sending them, yeah, I'm just sending them a postcard and saying, hey, a house was just listed in your neighborhood. Do you want to, they say something different every, like different choices you can make. My favorite one is, do you want to know the value of your home? And
Gotcha.
yeah, and sometimes, it's like everything else. It has worked pretty well because people, like I said, statistically, people in the neighborhood are going to be selling as well.
Right.
And I don't know if any of you guys follow Gary Vaynerchuk, but he made a statement one time that someone somewhere out in the world somewhere did a study, and it was about real estate agents. And when a real estate agent sends a postcard every week for 8 weeks
Right.
to a certain neighborhood, and then somebody took a poll and said, who's your real estate agent? And everyone said whoever it was that sent the postcards. And so it can work.
Right.
It's like everything else, it's consistency.
Right. You become the neighborhood expert. I've seen that too. I did see a postcard company using that as a statistic to sell their product, but I tend to agree with it too. I mean, marketing is everything. Getting in front of your clients is everything. And everything this panel has talked about today so far is about how to get in front of people with your parties that you throw, and which by the way, we were throwing them every year at the end of the year too, and we moved them to the fall, which we do in October now. But then I also had another thought. I'm like, most of the business happens in the springtime market. And so if we have a client appreciation party in October, are we going to be super top of mind going into the buying season? I do understand that you're building advocacy when you invite people to a party and you appreciate them. And so you're building this advocate that's out there talking about us as real estate agents. But we're going to try moving it to actually the springtime. I'm not sure if you guys have any, Lori or Vinod, if you have any recommendations on that at all, or if that might be something to try.
It could be. The only thing I could think about would be, again, going back to vacations and spring breaks and things like that. You just might hit people being out of town.
Got it.
The reason I moved mine to August was because I felt like, okay, everyone's vacation is over, and people are settling in for fall.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're catching more people before they go anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Darren, I
Mhm.
got on that. So one thing that I've tracked, we do a client appreciation party every year too. And we did different types. And the one thing that we ended up on was it's really hard to babysit and keep hundreds of people entertained.
Yep.
So I don't know where everybody's at and what they're in, but here in Ohio, we have one big rivalry with Ohio State football, which is Michigan. So every year we rent out a sports bar, and I say that lightly because we always get our affiliated partners to chip in. So our out of pocket's very inexpensive. And the game kind of babysits them, if that makes sense, because everybody's there, whether you're an Ohio State fan or not. We have food, we have everything going on. But where I was going with that is, we've sold over 1,500 families' houses. We get like 200 that show up. So the client appreciation party, we get the value more from just the invite itself and the marketing that goes into before and after. So we don't really focus too much on the numbers of people actually showing up because statistically not all of them can make it.
Right.
Everybody comments about it. Just the marketing before it, the thank yous, the afterwards, the videos from the party. So yeah, and then I saw Brittany too. Brittany said that she doesn't have past clients. We personally do not. We absolutely call it our client appreciation party, but we open it up to our whole sphere. And I always tagline it that we love even future clients. So it's the
Wow.
client appreciation party, but we love future clients. So please bring your friends, your family, anybody that wants to come.
Amazing. And just to add to that a little bit is it's also another reason to reach out to your client and say, hey, guess what? We're having a client appreciation party. It's this day. You can chit chat with each individual past client a couple each day until the event actually happens. And then I forget who it was that told me, but they said they even call people after the event, the people that couldn't even make it. They call them and say, hey, listen, so sorry you couldn't make it to the party, and they talk about other stuff, but they still make it a reason to call even the people that couldn't show up. And maybe you talk about another event that's coming up, but it's really another touch point before the event and even after the event. So awesome. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and ask a different question. What would you guys say what your number one priority is every day? And I know that's different for everybody. If you're a team leader, it's one thing. If you're an individual agent, etc. What would be your number one priority that you make sure that one thing gets done? And let's start with Stacy again on this end.
So I would say my one priority is obviously still being in production and being a solo agent is the dollar producing activities. One thing that I learned early on is other people's other people's urgency is not, or no, other people's emergency is not my urgency. Obviously, I have a ton of stuff that fills up my inbox, but I go through all my dollar producing activities, which is getting in touch with my clients that have CMAs going, listing agreements, all like. So I would say that's probably my thing. And obviously, I'm very big on the social media also. So one thing that I do, and this is a little tip with social media, I try to touch everybody that's I have like 3,000 and some friends, quote unquote. I'm saying that lightly. But every morning I go through the birthdays. It's the one way that I can make sure that if they have a birthday listed, they show up in my inbox. I don't send a message. I don't put something on their Facebook page like everybody else. I actually send a video to them. So and it can be pre-made for the day and everybody gets the same one, but that's a priority too, if they interact with you, you show up in their algorithm. I can never say that word. But it's a good way to keep in touch in your sphere. It's definitely do the video, don't do that. That's one tidbit that I would say is very important because I get a bunch of people out of my sphere that I stay in touch with that way constantly.
That is amazing. And everybody in the audience can do that. That's not,
Yep.
That's not like throwing a client appreciation party, which is a lot bigger of a lift, So just to clarify, you create one video that just says, hey, wishing you a happy birthday or something like that. And it's generic. You don't say their name or anything because you're going to send the same video to multiple people. Is that
Yep.
correct?
And so one thing is I use Snapchat's really goofy videos. They're only like 10 seconds. So you can kind of make it like right now, and actually, Darren, you're probably dealing with this a little bit more than us, but in Ohio, we're getting all this smoke from I always make a reference and a joke about something that is happening. So they know it's not just a canned one that I send to everybody all year long. Like I made one the other day that said in Snapchat had a new little 10-second thing where it puts your face in a little car that you're racing. And I was like, hey, racing, to wish you a happy birthday today. So yeah, but everybody got the same one, even though it's an updated one that kind of has something that references something going on. But yep, everyone gets the same one, but they think it's personal.
That's so cool. Thank you for that tip. I like it a lot. And I think it's something that everyone can do. And it's just a conversation starter and you're more top of mind. If you're sending messages out to everybody on a regular basis, heck, even if it isn't their birthday, I wonder if you could just send little messages like that to people. Just more reasons to contact them. So Trisha, what's the number one priority for you every single day?
Yes, my priority kind of has transitioned a bit in the past year, but more recently, I try to do something really simple that can be measured and achievable. And that's adding 2 people or 2 clients to my database. So my priority would be I'm going to have like 10 conversations in a day. So if it's my kids' teacher calling me, or dealership calling me, or I'm calling somebody to talk about what's going on, or I see an ad, whatever the conversation is, I kind of tie it back to real estate, what's going on in the market, somebody who I can help
Yeah.
because there are lots of opportunities. And then I get like 2 active leads a day and I add to my database. So in the past 1 month, I said I was going to move. I don't have too many people. Like when I say too many people active leads, because I'm still building my database. I wanted to move my database from 219 people to 250 people. So I kind of was measuring that, adding two people a day. And just this week on Monday, I got to the 250 people. So with that, I find I've been able to kind of get business, from just doing that simple activity, because somebody is going to refer me to somebody, or somebody is going to tell me about opportunities. And I just keep it really simple, just adding 2 people to my database every day.
That's fantastic. I don't know if you guys listened to Russ. He was just on stage before us. And that's how he built his whole business. Was he was just adding people to his database. And generally when you bump into people and you start a conversation and they say, "Oh, well, what do you do?" And if you say you're in real estate, generally the next thing out of that they're going to say to you is, "Oh my gosh, what do you think about the interest rates?" Or what do you think about the market, or what's going on, or and his response to that is always very simple, but it's effective. And what he says is that, "Hey, I'm so glad that you asked that question." He's like, "I actually have a monthly market update that I could email to you every month, and you'll know exactly what's going on in the market, and if you give me your email, I can send that to you." And so he's always telling people that he's in real estate, but he's getting that email address from them, their name and their email address, and he's adding them to his database. And so you can incorporate that into your daily life. You're at the dog park, you're here, you're at the grocery store, you're wherever you are, you can use that in your life, because people are going to ask you just out of curiosity, like, "Oh, hey, what do you do?" And that's another way to build your database. And then he's using that to follow up with them with his market update, which keeps him top of mind. So awesome.
And
Thank you so much.
Darren, too, I would also remember people that you have conversations with, statistically, people are selling every 5 to 7 years, but they probably know someone that's thinking about buying or selling right now. So when you have that conversation, especially with people that you might know in your sphere, don't forget to wrap it up. Do you know anybody that's thinking about buying or selling right now? Ask for the business. Wrap it up. It's been a great conversation. Maybe even led with it. So definitely ask for business at the end.
Absolutely. Yep, that's a good point. Vinod, what's the one thing? What's your one highest priority for every day that you make sure that you get done?
Sure, it's a great question, Darren. That for me it is the rule number 532. This is what I call every time. So I'll explain what this 532 is. Okay. So for me, as I'm a producing agent, and I have a team as well. So this is both collective together. So when I say 532, I make sure that I'm calling at least 5 people every day who might be my buyers, sellers, investors, or who wants to do any sort of real estate transaction today, 6 months later, 2 years later, right? So I try to call every single day. Weekend, I don't do it, but weekdays I try to make these 5 calls. So that is 5. And 3, for me, 3 is 3 social media posts every day on my different social media handles. I have around 50,000 followers on TikTok. I have 40,000 plus on my Instagram, and I have maybe 10 to 15,000 on my Facebook. So I make sure that I'm posting 3 posts on my social media channels every day, 7 days a week, not even 5, 7 days a week. And last two is which I recently started from this year, that I have to make 2 calls to the other agents who might be interested in knowing about EXP.
Hmm. So a certain percentage of your day then is always about talking about EXP, not just about production.
Yes, as I mentioned, 2 calls I have to make for sure, adding those 2 prospective agents to my database who can be, a part of EXP. But otherwise, I make sure that I'm doing these other activities as well. So creating my, content, making calls to the clients or reaching out to the messages which I got on my social media handles. So basically, it is all about conversations, conversations, and conversations. And I can add one more thing is that I believe in consistency. And a lot of people, they work really good when they are feeling good. But I always say one thing, if you're not feeling good and if you work on that day, that is a real thing. That's a real challenge.
That's what separates the production and the productive people from the people that don't make so much progress, right?
Yes, I believe because we all do good when we are feeling good, right? But we don't want to work on the days when we are kind of on a downtrend or we are not feeling good. We don't feel like working. I try to push myself that no, as Ed Milet says, the power of one,
One
one,
more.
one more, right? So that's it.
Right. You're going to have to change your numbers then to 643.
It will be very soon. Yeah.
643 starting tomorrow.
All right, let's do it. 643. Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there you go.
Yeah.
Instead of recruiting one agent a month, now it's got to be 2. So
Yes, that's right.
awesome. I love it. I love it. When you're not feeling good, those are the days that you got to get something done.
Awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Lori, what's your one priority every day?
It's funny because when we answer, it's more than one, right? It's a
Of
group.
course. Of course.
It's a group of priorities. We have to know all be all. So yes, social media posts every single day. And I'm old school, I'm 58 years old. I like to write things down. And so I have whiteboards in my office. And so every morning I get my coffee, I come in and look at my whiteboards, buyers, who am I talking to, who's in the car, and who's closing. Same thing with sellers. Who am I talking to? Whose house am I in, and how is that listing going? Those are my first priorities. Take care of those people, because those people, if I take really good care of them, they are going to refer me right to other people.
Right.
So they're my priority. And then once I take care of those, then I do the other things that everyone else does, right? That's why we're icon agents, because it doesn't just come and fall in your lap. Even when you sell tons of real estate a year, you still have to work for it. You still have to ask people for the business. So exactly, making my phone calls every day, which is part of my whiteboard. But as long as everyone's taken care of, that's under contract, all of my listings are taken care of. And then, those people that are what, like I said, whom I'm talking to, that list is huge. The other thing I make sure I do, answer my phone. If that is like the biggest pet peeve of mine for real estate agents that don't answer their phone. I don't care if it's, think about how many random phone calls we get per day.
Mm-hmm.
I still answer the phone because those people will move on. That's a potential business there.
Right.
a classic example, last week, I answered my phone. It was a buyer. And in my area, $300,000 is a big sale. Okay.
Right.
He has cash. The listing agent wouldn't answer the phone. So he called me. He Googled and found my name. So answer your phone. Answer it, answer it, answer it.
Right. That's really a different approach because a lot of the other successful agents swear by a different schedule, which is, hey, my mornings are sacred. It's the golden hours or whatever they call it, where I'm generating new business. And unfortunately, I guess I'm avoiding answering the phone. I'm avoiding working on deals that I already have in process. And then in the afternoon, they switch to taking care of existing business, putting out fires, closing deals, So it definitely is a different approach. And I guess, you're very good proof that you can operate differently and you don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. All of our
I
business.
feel like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I feel like if I'm taking care of that business first thing in the morning, then if there are any issues, they can be resolved by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Rather than waiting till later in the afternoon, trying to put fires out, then, you're pushing things to the next day. And so I would rather take care of everything in the morning, then, do my follow-ups and cold calling or whatever you want to call it, and then set appointments for afternoons and evenings.
Right. I agree with that. And I think maybe why I'm trying to think of the right words here. Maybe why other people are saying that you should do your prospecting in the morning is because unless you're very strict with yourself and very disciplined, you're going to let every day get away from you by just handling your current business. And maybe that's the reason. And if you're very diligent and very strict with yourself, you can make sure that you're doing everything within the day, even though you're intermingling both prospecting and taking care of current business.
True, because I can make phone calls in the car, right? I can, and if people use, I don't know if anyone in here uses KV Core, KV Core has a dialer. If you have the app on your phone, there's a dialer there. So I'm all about, taking advantage of my free time. So
That's
I feel like
amazing.
I feel like driving in my car is free time.
Right.
So if these people are in my KV Core, or if I have done some lead generation and they're in my KV Core, all I have to do is open up the app, and the app has a dialer.
Amazing. That really, I don't even have the right words. It's just high performer. You're just a high performer, and you're like, okay, I can prospect with a dialer while I'm driving. I don't know too many people that can do that.
Don't ask me if I put my mascara on while I'm driving, because I'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, answer calls, handle problems, talk to past clients, do all that stuff while you're driving. But prospecting with a dialer while you're driving, that's like, you got to be really, really in a groove and be confident with with your process to do that. So,
well, I think, when you're prospecting, the funny thing about that to me is that, I feel like all I want to do is talk to people. I'm not trying to sell people. So if I can just get them on the phone and explain to them why I have their phone number, I mean, that in itself sometimes is a challenge, right? Because they don't always remember what they've done, what they've clicked on, where they've been. So what I do, so one of the things I tell them is I remind them, hey, I got your number because you must have clicked on an ad because I had this listing or whatever it is. And what did you like? What did you like? What made you click on that ad? What did you like about it? And instead of just saying, do you want to go look at it? So just having a conversation with them and letting them talk and asking them questions about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. So asking them questions. So 9 times out of 10, it's just getting on the phone and talking to them and just having a conversation, and then following up later with, they're on my whiteboard if the conversation went well. So the next morning they're there.
Wow. That's amazing. And I've heard this before too, that the more you let other people talk during a conversation, when the conversation's over, the way that they feel about that conversation and how well it went is dependent on how much of the talking they did versus how much you did.
I agree.
And it's so amazing how that works, but you have to keep reminding yourself it's not about how much you can convince them that you're a great agent. It's about how much you can listen to them and make them feel like they're heard and you're listening to what their problems are, what their unique situation is. So
Making a connection, just making a connection.
in the connection. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear dogs barking in the background. What kind of a dog do you have? I mean,
Wow.
it's just having a conversation with people. That's all it is.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. Vinod, I'm going to kind of follow back up and talk a little bit more about the schedule again, since we were talking about that a little bit, whether your mornings, what are your mornings used for? What are your afternoons used for? And what are your evenings? And do you work the weekends? And so how do you manage your schedule? Is there any rhyme or reason to it?
That's a very hard question you have asked, because
Yeah.
I always try to follow my schedule and be disciplined, but it's 50% of the time it happens. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. But
Right.
I have a small office. I try to go to the office. I have a small branch office of EXP, right? So I try to go to my office, reach there by 9:30, right?
Yep.
And first 1.5 hour for me is just checking out my all emails, any messages or anything. And then the real time, which is for me, is 11 to 1 when I make my calls, right? Which I
Right.
mentioned 532. So
Right.
at that time, I tried different timings, but somehow that time I got good results, right? So
Yeah.
that 11 to 1, I make sure that I do it like 4 or 5 days for those calls, right?
Yep.
And then after like 2:30, you can say, then I start working on my content. As I mentioned, that people who are listening, agents who are there today, one thing which I've learned in EXP is how you cannot be a camera shy person, because I was totally into graphics from last 10 years. I have a very good in-house graphic teams, so they create very good graphics. But I was not a camera person, right? But this
Yeah.
company told me you got to come out of your comfort zone and start making videos. And
Right.
I try to make videos in my ethnic language as well, so I can reach out to my these other community people as well. So I try to make two sort of videos. One is in always in English, and second one in my other language. So a couple of hours, 1 to 2 hours goes in that, around 3:30, 4 you can say. And after that, I keep my other appointments. Maybe it is a listing presentation or buyer presentation after 4 to 6 ish. And I try to work 5 days, not 7 days at all. So 2 days I keep it for myself, for my family. I say everybody that okay, you got to rejuvenate, you got to relax yourself
Yeah.
physically, mentally. So if you are working 7 days or even 6 days, it's too much. And my goal next year that I should be start working 4 days instead of 5.
Wow. That's really good news for everybody, because I think there's a lot of newer agents or intermediate agents who think, gosh, do I have to get to the office at 7 a.m.? Do I have to work till 9 o'clock every night? Do I have to do it 7 days a week? And I think that you're proof that you can get to the office at 9:30. You can get everything done and be done by 6 o'clock. You could take 2 days off a week and still have 100 people in your organization and still be an icon agent. And so that's just what works for you. So that's I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep. Trisha, what's your schedule? Do you have a daily ritual, or do you kind of just every day is a little different, or what would you say? How do you keep your schedule?
Well, Darren, I think I'm taking more notes than those of them in the audience. But
I'm taking notes myself. Trust me.
Laurie, that was amazing. I've always wondered why it has to be a certain way, like the typical schedule where you have to get up a certain time and to office, call a certain time, and then do everything else. To be honest, my first year in real estate, I was kind of part-time, and so I had to just work with what was available to me. So the strategy Vinod and Laurie shared kind of sits with me because I was able to do a lot with the structure of, just make it organic. So my schedule, now I'm trying to be a lot more structured. But my schedule, so I feel like whatever option or whatever system you pick, just make sure it's working for you. Because I would actually get on the phone, like my drive time would be my call time. Like every time was my conversation time. I pick my calls, which is something like very striking that Laurie mentioned. Agents don't pick their call. To be honest, that's how I also came into real estate because I used to do a lot of referrals to agents, and then then they were just friends, and they would say to me, you know what, the agent never called me. I left him a voice message, or I left her a text. Nobody responded to me. I'm like, what? And so when I came into real estate, I told myself it has to be different, right? It's beyond selling a property. Sometimes clients just call me to talk about the fact that their husbands are not treating them nice. And, I, and I'm just there listening to everything they have to say. And I find this really fulfilling, like the work we have as realtors is beyond selling a property. It's relationships, is building, is putting together, and that's actually where the biggest referrals and trust come from. Most of the time, I would say 90% of my clients, once they come on board, they never go anywhere else. Like I don't have people who like, oh, I signed up here and I'm buying with somebody else, or I'm doing something else, because they feel like home. So they can call, I pick their calls where I can,
Yeah.
and also try to have my own schedule where I get to do certain activities, make the phone calls I have to make, do the income generating activities as well. Because to be honest, every conversation of mine is real estate. So we could be talking about cars, but somehow real estate has to come into the picture. So it's just organic. It doesn't come off like, oh, is that all you're gonna talk about? There's something that just ties it together. So I just feel like prospecting, I don't have like, I would say, oh, it has to be 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Like my prospecting is every call is a prospect call, because it could lead to different things. It could just be talking to somebody about, maybe they are trying to make a decision about the children's school. And
Right.
that's a prospecting, that's a client right there. That's an opportunity right there. So
Right.
I find that prospecting is continuous for me, as well as other activities to kind of build the business and grow the team, which is what I'm kind of looking into right now, doing the referral businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of find time to make sure all of these activities are kind of taken care of.
Awesome. So to just summarize that, a very fluid schedule. It's not super regimented. It's very fluid, and it's just different, and everybody has a different way of doing their business. So thank you for sharing. Stacy, talk to us about your schedule.
So I'm going to piggyback off what you just said. I am 24/7, 365, and I have been for 27 years. I don't follow a schedule whatsoever, but I would like to, I say though, my clients honestly turn into friends more than they do clients. And if they don't, I don't work with them. I'm very picky on who I work with, and I'm grateful for that. For the 27 years I've afforded you that when most of my book of business is repeat and referral business, but they get me in t-shirt, flip flops, baseball cap. So along with that, they know they can text me or call me 24/7. Columbus is a very big small town. So I've known all the agents and have for decades. So I guess fluid is a very good way to put mine also. I take calls on vacation. I return calls on vacation. I'm just there. I'm available, but I know everybody's different. Everybody works every which way and different stuff. So for me, mine is definitely fluid. That's the way to put it.
Awesome. Give us a 60-second. We got about 5 minutes left here, so why don't you give us a 60-second final thoughts to everybody out in the audience here of just your final tips that you could give to them. Stacy.
As newer agents, events. Make sure you're at EXPCon shareholders. If you can't get there, get to the new regionals that are coming out everywhere. It is not a time to disconnect. It's a time to invest more in yourself with the shifting market. And sometimes you need the other people of the event more than they need you. I mean, you need the room, you need the support, and you need the people out there. So make sure to plug in, be it everything you can be.
I couldn't agree with that more. I just shot a video about that when I was at Build in San Antonio that, it's expensive, I can see that in a real estate agent's mind, it's an expensive thing to do. You have to get a plane ticket, you have to get a hotel room, you have to buy the ticket, you have to buy your food, and it adds up, and it seems like a very expensive ordeal. But I like to think of it more as an investment. And you have to think of it that way, that I'm investing in myself, and this is going to catapult my business forward if I can do it. So I also totally 100% agree with you, Stacy. Trisha, what's your 60-second final tips to the crowd here?
Thanks, Darren. Everything you have said and Stacy has said applies to me. I would say for me, is being EXP, to be honest. So I have a really strong, supportive team with John Tobloris as the coach of that team. We have Monday calls where we kind of go through the key successes and people share their experiences and how they navigate through them. And of course, these Friday calls, I try not to miss them because there is always something you are going to get out of it to answer your questions and to build your business. I attend EXPCon, I attend EXP Summit, I go into EXP World, I listen to the podcast. So it's learning, surround yourself with productive minds, and you will be very, very successful.
Awesome. Thank you, Trisha. I couldn't agree more. Vinod, what's your last 60 seconds of advice to the audience?
Yeah, so I again will put it out here that for me it is triple C. First C is for care, second is communicate, third is consistency. So you should show your real care to the people who are in your surroundings, and communicate with them that in whatever ways you can communicate. And the last thing is be consistent. And as Trisha mentioned, we all can be very, very successful, and we all can grow together. EXP is the company to go with.
Amazing. Thank you. And easy to remember that way. I like that, Vinod. 532 CCC.
Yes, that's right.
And we'll see you at the top. Okay. Awesome. Lori, what's your last 60 seconds of advice to the audience.
So whether you're a new agent or you're a seasoned agent, it's the same for everyone, in my opinion. Take advantage of everything that EXP offers you. Make sure you get in workplace, be engaged, get in EXP world, take advantage of the free classes that are offered every week, get on social media, share your experiences, and be consistent. I mean, it's the consistency is what will grow your business, right? Have you ever heard fortune is in the follow-up? You've got to make that follow-up and be consistent with it. And again, I just want to reiterate, answer your phone. Your phone is your sphere of influence. That's your book of business. If you've not sold real estate before, your phone is your book of business.
Love it. Thank you so much, everyone. Well, I think that's a wrap. That was a really, really good session. I know that I took a lot of notes. I hope everybody else in the audience did, because that was some really amazing information. Even for those of us that are experienced, there's always one little nugget that you can pick up from somebody else, something that they're doing a little bit different, a little bit better, getting a little bit better results. So I hope everybody enjoyed today's session as much as I did. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. So thank you.
Thank you.